Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. At the Post Live, week number 4. It's Thursday. It's August 9th. This is the Hump Show, I guess, right? We've got 7 shows. Today's the 4th show, and we have a really good show. You know, it's funny. I'd asked a number of people on Twitter before the meet, and, you know, I ask questions on Twitter, and it's a dangerous thing. Suggestions for guests. And I got a lot of ridiculous suggestions, but I got some really good ones. And one of them was Michael Blowen, who, if you're not familiar with my first guest, Michael Blowen, let's give him a good big hand. I don't know if there's too many people that have done more for Thoroughbred Aftercare and for these great thoroughbreds than Michael Blowen. Of course, he runs Old Friends Farm, both in Georgetown, Kentucky, and here in Saratoga. And Michael, welcome to At the Post Live.
Great, thanks, Andy. This is fabulous.
So, tell us about Old Friends. You have one in Saratoga and in Kentucky. One in Kentucky was your first one, correct?
Yes. Well, the idea for Old Friends actually came on the porch of Ann's Washington Inn down there on Broadway in 2001, when I thought I didn't want to start a retirement place that was just replicating what other really good retirement places were already doing, but no one was taking stallions. And it was a time when it was all the aftershock about what happened to Ferdinand overseas. And so I thought we'd work hard on getting these horses back from overseas. So we started with the stallions and getting the stallions repatriated. And then we have a really, really good relationship with the Japanese Racing Association now. So every time the Japanese, at all the farms, every time their breeding season's over, they call us and we arrange to bring some of the horses home.
So how many horses do you have at your Georgetown facility?
15.
15. And how many are here?
We have 15 here, and we have, how many we got, Tim? 162?
162 in Kentucky.
We have more stakes winners than any farm in the history of horse racing.
Really? That's awesome. Who are some of the biggest names you've got in Kentucky?
But like me, their racing and breeding career is over. So
right.
We have that in common. Oh, well, you know.
Join the club.
We have Derby winners and Preakness winners, Silver Charm, who, of course, won in 1997. And for racing fans, one of the great things, I've touched gold in the next paddock. And wow. I don't know what they talk about at night, but I'm sure they're lying about their careers. And so we have our own version of the Triple Crown. So that's 97. And then in 2002, we have War Emblem and Sarava. So that's our little Triple Crown there. And,
wow.
And War Emblem and Silver Charm are 2 of the highlights of the tours. I mean, one of the keys to this whole operation is that we open it up to visitors and to tourists, and so that people can come and they can feed Silver Charm carrots and get their picture taken, and the same. Well, not quite with War Emblem. His disposition is slightly different than Silver Charm's, but we really like to promote horse racing and show that there's a lot of people in this sport that really care about what these horses do once their breeding and racing careers are over.
Well, I mean, talk about the importance of aftercare, because it's something that has become, thankfully, much, much more prevalent. People like yourself, the Thoroughbred Retirement Fund, many other people, and how important it is to take care of these horses after they do so much for us.
Yes, well, there's an organization called the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, run by Stacy Clark and some other really, really good racing people. And what they've done is they've been able to put together a whole range of organizations. We're strictly retirement. When the horses come here, we don't retrain them. They're not going on to second careers. It's the end of the day. They're just going to get out in the field and they're going to get to relax and just be horses again. It's kind of really a lot of fun to watch that happen. And then, but if we get a call about a horse that's younger, that looks like he's energetic and healthy and sound and can go on to a second career, then we can call New Vocations or some of the others that are accredited by the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, and they can teach them to go on to have a second career. I can't teach them anything. They teach me everything, like what time they want their carrots. And it's funny, you know, Bob Bapper came to the farm. He comes a lot because we have all his good horses. We have War Emblem and Game on Dude and Silver Charm and Dan the Bluegrass Man and Jimbo Fallon, and he brought his whole family, you know, to the farm, and we're talking, and I said, you know, Bob, you know, is it harder to train War Emblem to win the Derby, or is it harder to train him to stand there while you put a halter on him and he doesn't try to kill you? So, but we've been getting a tremendous amount of support from a lot of the trainers Bob in particular has been really, really terrific to us. There's a horse who ran today named King Creasa, who I've been trying to retire for 3 years. And I talked to really nice people, and David Donk's always been great to us.
Great man.
And it looks like when King Creasa's career's over in another couple of starts, that he'll be able to come home. I'll tell one brief story about David Donk. We had a wonderful horse here at the farm named Awad. Some of you may remember when Awad ran up here.
Tremendous racehorse.
Tremendous horse. Tremendous horse. And he ran against Kiri's Clown, and we also had Kiri's Clown at the farm.
Another great horse, B.D. Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. And they ran in the Sword Dancer together and finished 1-2.
13-horse field.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable race, wasn't it?
Yeah, great race.
And
right at the wire.
Yeah, right at the wire. And so David, after we retired Awad, David brought his 3 children down and Faye, his wife, down to the farm to see Awad. And he made the kids stare at Awad, and he says, kids, I want you to take a good look at that horse and get a great mental picture, because that's the reason you're never going to have to take out a loan for college. And then if you call David's phone now, even at this late date, and you get his answering machine, it says, you've reached the home of Faye and David Donk in the house that Awad bought. David's been very grateful to Awad. And all the horses that we have, from Zippy Chippy, who was obviously 0 for 100. But Zippy has a great motto. His motto is, winners don't always finish first. So, everybody's got to make accommodations for their deficiencies. So, yeah. And we have other horses. We try to take, for every horse that we take that's a really big tourist attraction and a big stakes winner, we try to get one like Archie's Echo or some of the others that are just real hard old warriors that ran for 3,500 at the old Suffolk or whatever, where Philadelphia Park, wherever they ran, that they get a home too. So we try to divide it up that way. And some of the owners and trainers and breeders have been so good to us. I mean, Frank Stronach called and let us have Alphabet Soup and Touch Gold when they retired. And then Alphabet Soup developed some very bad tumors. And he had 3 really he had 3 softball-sized tumors. And our veterinarian over here, Dr. Waldridge, discovered this place in Florida that was working on some experiments with immune therapy in horses. And they developed a vaccine, and now Alphabet Soup's tumors are about the size of golf balls instead of
that's great.
Softballs, and it's worked out really well. And Frank Stronach paid for all the stuff. I was just saying to Andy, we got a wonderful horse named Green Mask, who you might remember very well, the
wonderful turf
sprinter. Now here's a gelding who shatters his leg. And Brad Cox and his ownership and everybody got together and decided that they would save this horse if they could. And he had a very, very sophisticated surgery performed by Dr. Richardson up in New Bolton, who also, of course, did the surgery on Barbaro. And they installed metal plates, and he had 27 screws in his leg. And then once he recovered from that and the bone fused, he just went back to New Bolton about a month ago, and Dr. Richardson removed all the hardware. The bone was completely fused, and now the wound's almost completely healed. And he'll be coming to the farm, I guess, on Sunday, which is why I'm leaving Saratoga early, because I really...
That's a great story.
I really want to say... And the other great thing about the story is that we haven't had to pay anything. I mean, Kesmark, the great facility over in Versailles, Kentucky, has taken care of all of his hyperbaric chamber work and all his rehab work over there for free. They've never sent us a bill. Park Equine, Dr. John Park has provided all his care over there with Dr. Waldridge over at Park Equine, never sent us a bill. Sally Vance has been moving this horse back and forth and all around town, and they've never sent us a bill. I mean, all this horse, this operation would have cost somewhere between $70,000 for the year, $70,000 to $100,000, and we've never gotten a bill.
Well, that's so great to hear people contributing. Of course, Bobby Franco obviously had contributed a great deal, and I guess contributed for the Saratoga Old Friends. Is that correct?
Bobby Franco. So the first big horse we ever got was Ruhlman, who is owned by Jerry Moss, Ruhlmann. He started off with Bobby, and he ended up with Charlie Whittingham out in California. But he was a really, really tough, beautiful horse, and he was owned by Jerry Moss, of course, who owns Zenyatta. And when I first got Ruhlman, I was here at Saratoga, and I was very proud because he was the first really good horse we ever got that anybody would trust us with. And I saw Bobby over there, and I said, Mr. Frankel, I don't want to bother you. I said, but my name's Michael, and I have your great horse Ruhlman at my farm. And Bobby looks at me, and he goes, that's nice. You know, just completely blew me off. I mean, it was like he didn't care, and he walked away. So about 2 days later, there's a tap on my shoulder, and he goes, aren't you that guy with Ruhlman? I said, yes, sir. Man, that's one of the toughest horses I ever trained, and he wanted everything his own way. But, boy, he'd run through brick walls to win races for you. He was just an incredible athlete. Thanks for taking care of him. And we had a really brief but very civil and nice conversation. I never talked to him again or saw him again. But after he unfortunately died, I guess it's 10 years ago now.
Been a while,
next year. And I think we're working with the museum to have an exhibit of his trophies.
Oh, great.
In next year. And I got a call from Dottie and Gordo, sheriffs, who handled all of Jerry's business and all of Bobby's business. And she said, Bobby left you some stuff. Well, about a month later, we got our first check for over $100,000. And over the years, it's amounted to almost $300,000 from Bobby's estate. But even more interesting in some ways is one day my wife and I came back from matinees because, you know, we're old now. We have to go to the matinee. And
I go to matinees.
We came back from the movies around 4:30, and our garage was full of wooden crates. It was like a scene out of Citizen Kane. And I started opening up the crates, and we ended up with 90% of Bobby's trophies. So.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And you had no real relationship with him?
No. He just liked the idea of taking care of these horses. I mean, you know, the fact of the matter is nobody really likes me, but they really like these horses.
I know the feeling. So, you just mentioned going to matinees. You had a life before horse racing, right? You were a movie reviewer, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, it was a lot of fun. I'll tell you, there's a great connection with horse racing, too, because when I first started at the Globe, I was a second-string movie critic at the Boston Globe back in the 70s, and I got sent to all the bad movies that nobody else wanted to see, you know, The Hills Have Eyes, The Incredible Melting Man. I could still remember them. And I found out that the great movie director, John Huston, was coming out with his biography. And I said, look, I will never complain about you sending me to a movie again if you let me interview John Huston, because I was such a huge fan. You know, he made The African Queen and The Treasure of Sierra Madre.
And he played Ken Ramsey in Chinatown.
Yeah, and he played, Chinatown, my favorite movie of all time.
Looks just like Ken Ramsey, right?
Yeah.
Noah Cross.
I love that. I never thought
You
of
never
that.
thought of that?
No.
I think of every time I see Ken.
It's a great image. It's a great image. So they agreed to send me. So and it was before VCRs and everything. I went to the library and watched all of his movies. I was so excited and prepped and everything. And they said, and I said, I don't want it to be just an interview in a hotel room. I want to be able to spend some time. So they arranged to spend the whole day with them. They said, show up Monday morning at the Ritz-Carlton at 7 o'clock. And I showed up at 7 o'clock on Monday morning, and he answered the door, and he was in his pajamas. And I had shown up a day early. And I was really, it was awful. And he went in the other room just to put his bathrobe on, and I wanted to just run because it was so embarrassing. But when he came back, he said, well, what did you discover? I said, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Huston, I think I showed up a day early. But he looked down, and in my bag, I had a copy of the racing form. And he said, do they have a track here? I said, yes, sir. He goes, well, hold on a second. He rearranged his entire schedule. He only worked mornings doing the interviews, and we went to the track, and we became best friends, and he was like my godfather. Whenever I wanted to do an interview, I'd call him up and say, you know, this guy won't talk to me, and he'd make the arrangements. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. He became a great friend, and he was and it's all because of the racing form. I love it.
That's incredible. Oh, my gosh. I mean, he's one of the greatest legends in film history.
Yes.
Michael, I wish we had 2 hours to talk to you, but I'm going to have to get rid of you.
Oh, that's all right, Andy.
It's been great having you there.
And I really like what you do for horse racing.
Thanks.
We do have, you know, I know there's a lot of numbers people here. I just have to brag about one thing. We have a horse at the farm named Affirm Success. And out of 52 starts, he had 48 triple-digit Beyer speed
Yes, he did.
figures.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'll give you a piece of trivia.
And then I'll leave, I promise.
A firm success broke his maiden in April at Aqueduct of his 3-year-old year. He didn't get started till late. A year before, in the spring, a 2-year-old named Kelly Kipp broke his maiden, and plenty of people remember Kelly Kipp as well. The horse that finished second to Kelly Kipp finished second to a firm success, the same horse. I think Home for the Free, does that sound something like that? Yeah, it was originally a Dogwood Todd Pletcher horse. I think Frank Martin actually claimed it for Viola Summer, but the same horse second to both of them.
Wow.
And there you go.
Well, thank you very much for inviting
Michael,
me,
thank
Andy.
you
I really
so much.
appreciate
Let's
it.
give him a big hand.
Come
A
visit.
man who does so much for horse racing. We owe him a great debt of gratitude. Michael Blowen.